What's going on YouTube? This is Necrostevo and you're watching my Q&A video. Yay! With me today, I have Mew, the director of the National Pokemon Association. I think I got this shirt from theshirttee.com. Anyways though, shoutouts to my girlfriend for getting me Mew. She also got me a Cleffa, but Cleffa's chilling with my Venusaur plushie at her place, just so Venusaur has company, not anything weird. Today I'm going to be answering all the questions that you guys left on my update video, and I think I had a couple questions left on other pages. I'll be clicking around to them and showing you guys things as we get to them. I'm also going to be soft resetting to see if I can get a good nature on a Dream World Tyrogue because you can't breed them. Kind of a pain in the butt, so you have to catch it, see what the nature is, reset it, same way you do with an event Pokemon. But let's go ahead and get started. The first question is actually from the Utmost Ulrich, or it might be Ulrich. Ulrich? I think it's Ulrich. Anyways, though, the question is, what are your top few favorite video games that I've ever played? So this is really, really hard for me to limit to just a few video games, because I've played a lot of games. For those of you who don't know, I'm 24, so I've kind of been around just long enough to be around during the really cool inception of gaming. Of course, Pokemon, that goes without saying. I think my next favorite, or few games that I really have enjoyed playing, are going to be the Persona series, specifically Persona 3. I almost said 4. I feel like I flip flop between those two a lot, but Persona, the Shin Megami Tensei series in general, whether it be Devil Summoner or the Persona series or the Nocturne. All those games were fantastic, and I really enjoyed playing through all of them. They have a really nice combination of good story, good characters, interesting game mechanics, and an interesting world to just have all that take place in, which is kind of an unusual combination as far as games go. Especially nowadays, everything's kind of recycled because the more things are around, the more concepts are going to be getting recycled. But I just really enjoy the Persona series overall. For example, Persona 3, I have Persona 3 and Persona 3 FES, and I have Persona 3 Portable. I have Persona 3 Portable on download, and I have the actual UMD for the PSP. And then I also have Persona 3 FES on download as well. And then for Persona 4, I have Persona 4, Persona 4 Golden, and I have Persona 4 Arena. So I enjoy those games. Another series that I really enjoy is Devil May Cry. I love it when a game just intends to fully kick my behind. And the Devil May Cry games, they really reward you for getting in there and learning the combos and having very high dexterity in executing them. I just remember the first time that I beat Devil May Cry 3 on the highest difficulty, and it was the first run of it, not the second run where they tweaked the difficulty so that it wouldn't be all borked. But beating that game on Dante Must Die difficulty, where all the enemies have full health and they all have the health that they would have on the highest difficulty, while Dante dies in one hit from any enemy. Just the amount of rage that you go through in an entire boss fight where you make one little mistake. But anyways, though, I just really like the Devil May Cry series. I have all of them except for the new one, and I have all three of the first three, and then I have both versions of the third one. I have 4, and then I have the HD collection. I don't really have the interest in the new one that I don't know. I guess a lot of people have, but I'll probably get it when the price drops. And a third game, it's really a cop out to say Final Fantasy. I know. But just so it's not a cop out, I will limit it to my top 3 Final Fantasies. Which number 1 is Final Fantasy IV, which I actually didn't play till about 10 years ago. It wasn't even my first one. My first one was Final Fantasy VII, which I really enjoyed. But 4's characters are so much more interesting to me outside of maybe Barrett from 7. And then also Final Fantasy IX, which actually is just basically a copy and paste of 4's story, which is why I like 9 so much. That and Zidane is really cool. And that led to me using Zidane in Final Fantasy, or Dissidia Final Fantasy, whatever the heck it's called. And then a third one, I'm actually going to go with Final Fantasy. That's tough. Probably Final Fantasy X. It's a toss up between 10 and 7. But I'm going to say 10 for now, and then I'll change it later. That's an impish nature. Not very good. And then I think that's all that I'm going to say for now. If I have to give a fourth series, it's probably going to be Marvel vs. Capcom, just because I've been playing Marvel vs. Capcom for so long. Some of you guys may see on Twitter where I'm watching fighting streams or participating in the fighting game community, and just from when I was young and I would go to play in the arcade and use up all my quarters playing on the arcade machine, or when my little brother and I saved up enough to get Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on the PlayStation 2, and we still have a working physical copy of the disc, even though those were really hard to find for a while. I don't know, we just have played that game a lot, and I actually got good enough at it to compete in some local tournaments, but then I kind of fell off when I got out of college. So I don't know, those are like my top 4-ish games in there. Moving on over to the other video, we have from Alex Najera, it might be Najera, whichever. His question is, if I had a chatbot, what would I have him say? And if I'm planning on having kids, how many and which genders would I want them to be? So the chatbot question is interesting. I will forego the urge to have it say Fusro Da, just because that's kind of easy and awesome. I would probably have mine say Persona, just because, or I guess it'd be Bird Sona for chatbot because it's a bird, and it's like Teddy going Bear Sona. And alternatively, it could also say no tears, because just that's one of my catchphrases. No tears. All those would be fine. Any of those three. Am I planning on having kids? Not for the foreseeable immediate future. I'm 24, still looking for a full-time job. I am dating someone, but she's still in grad school. So, not for the foreseeable future. In the future, if I did have any kids, I would only want one. And I would hope that it were a boy. The only reason that I would love to have a little girl is because with the boy, I could train him in my ways and in my power, and if he wanted to, he could take those and go into the world and proliferate. With a girl, I could train her in my ways and power, and then me being the most likely overprotective dad that I would end up being, I would just end up destroying any of the little people that tried to step on our boundaries. So I guess with a guy, I would expect him to do it himself, but it would kind of be like a daddy's little girl type thing, which is really weird because I feel like I'd always tell myself that I would just treat them equally, but at this point, I don't think I would. I don't know. I would really try to train my girl so that I would never have to, because it would be really satisfying to watch my little girl kick someone's butt. Same thing with the guy, but less satisfying. I don't know why. I don't really know why. So I guess I'd be okay with either. If I had to choose, I'd probably pick a boy. Either that, or I'd let my wife choose. Then I wouldn't. Then you get brownie points, and then you also, I don't know. You make a choice by not choosing. Moving on down, Sir Preyas the 619 asks, which 3 Yu-Gi-Oh cards do you hate being used against you? Okay, so this is one of the few questions that I prepared for, or at least by prepared for, I mean I glanced at the list before I started and went, oh, I can get that ready right now. So back when I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh, I stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh right when the Synchro monsters were introduced. So I don't remember what year that was, but you guys who play Yu-Gi-Oh know. And back then I used to run a Dragon deck, a Toon deck, and an Insect deck, just because I really liked those monsters. I don't know. Those decks were okay. I did decently in regionals and tournaments and things, but not anything amazing. Not a lot of consistency. Anyways, though, then one of the cards that I hate being used against me is Bottomless Trap Hole. That card being used against me has lost me so many duels, just because it removed my monsters from play. It was really nice to have Return from the Different Dimension be added in, because then I could have all my monsters return from out of play, and it's like, ha, your Bottomless Trap Hole means nothing to me. But, the fact that it works on special summons or anything like that, Annoying. Another card I hate that I'm sure everyone hates is Mirror Force, and that's because it's Mirror Force. A bashful nature is not useful, yo. Um, so, Mirror Force kind of speaks for itself. The final card that I hate is Yata Garasu, and that's just because I've been Yata locked so many times. Running those types of decks that I run, they often require at least a couple turns of setup, at least 3 to 4 turns. And then after that, I can normally win. If Yata Garasu gets out early, I just lose. So, with that being said, I just hate Yata Garasu. I like the design, I hate losing to it. So, next question, I'm going to skip and not answer that one because I'm going out of order. What? Which legendary would I love to meet in real life? That's an interesting question. I think I would like to meet Jirachi if it were the year that the Millennium Comet were passing overhead. If it were that year, then meeting Jirachi would mean that I would get one wish. So, that happens every million years or so. So if it's that year, why not? If it's not that year, I would probably go with meeting. I would probably go with probably Deoxys. Um, Deoxys is such that he's a very foreign entity, especially being a mutated virus. So him being a psychic type, at least in the movies, he still has ways to express himself, and I don't know, he's my favorite legendary. So he has ways to express himself so we could come to an understanding about things without him just hyper beaming me and blasting me away. And at the same point, he's a psychic type, so you can fly around, you can teleport, he can use all sorts of elemental attacks, all those different types of things. I think that would be a pretty cool interaction to have. And then if you're around the virus, you're probably going to get immunized to the virus, so I would be hopefully immunized to some weird strain of space virus. Number 2, who will be my Pokemon partner in Pokemon Conquest? That's an interesting question. The obvious answer, my favorite Pokemon, Venusaur, is probably not whom I would choose just because he's really, really big and bulky, and he's not really suited to traveling around a lot. He's the best thing that you could possibly have in a battle ever. And that's just a fact. Venusaur is the best Pokemon. But, as far as having a partner to walk around with, not as suited to that. So in keeping mind, being mindful of the comfort of my Venusaur, I'd probably choose a Pokemon like, my immediate thought is Primeape, just because, I guess, Primeape is one of my favorite Pokemon, and he's really just fun to have around. If someone pisses you off, Primeape will chase them until the ends of the earth just to get them back. And by get them back, I mean kill them with extreme prejudice. So Primeape would be cool. It would also be cool to have something with random utility, I guess, something like a Gengar. Something that can slip in and out of anything. He's great for practical jokes. He can use a variety of elemental attacks. Even Gengar can use some psychic type attacks. So something like that would be really, really cool to have around. Which legendary would I like to meet in real life? I already answered that one. Which Pokemon I had to follow me around? This is a problem of going out of order. You get lost. So I know I didn't do the last one. Which Dragon Pokemon is my favorite? That is pretty easy. For me, that's Dragonair. I really like the Serpentine look a lot better than Dragonite. I remember when I was young and the first time I saw Dragonair, I was like, wow, that's really cool. There's no way it can evolve into anything cooler. And then my Dragonair was evolving, and I was like, it's evolving. Oh my gosh. Is it gonna be like a 3-headed, really cool Serpentine? Oh, it's a really fat Dragonite. So, not to say I don't like Dragonite. I do think Dragonite's design is cool. I just like Dragonair's design better. Which gen contains the most of my favorite Pokemon? That's actually answered by this graphic. The answer is first gen. But if you guys look here, we have Primeape, Venusaur, Zapdos, Arcanine, Nidoking, Golem, Porygon, Weezing, and Kingler, all from first gen. And that's just because those are my favorites from those types. So, I don't... Those are my favorite Pokemon by type, and it just so happens that 8 of them are from first gen. That actually wouldn't be a bad team. Primeape, Venusaur, Porygon, Wheezing Kingler. Huh. I can make a team out of that. Anyways, though, that would not be a bad team to have. And I don't know. I just really like Christian. Which Pokemon would be my carrier Pokemon, as in it takes me anywhere? That would have to be either an Alakazam, just for teleportation, or Golurk, because you peel the seal off its chest ever so slightly, and it has infinite energy pouring out from it, ready to blast off into a new adventure and a new tomorrow. Don't get too close to the energy ports, or you'll probably burn off a limb or something like that. But one of those two. If it has to use Fly, then Golurk. If not, then definitely Alakazam. Hopefully, Teleport will have more utility than just returning to the last place that I was. Other question is, which Pokemon pack would I be in? His example is like a wolf pack. I'd probably want to be in like the jungle pack. So that's going to be things like Superior and Tangrowth, Shiftry, things like that that are really acclimated to. I don't know, being acclimated to the jungle typically means you're going to be able to work in a lot of different environments outside of the cold, I guess. So I don't know, I'd probably go with that. And then finally, which Pokemon would I choose to follow me around? Not necessarily as a partner in Pokemon Conquest. If I could just have it follow me around, I'd choose something like... Just to follow me around. That's a tough one. My first thought was to go with Doug Trio. Doug Trio could follow me around, and like since he would be completely submerged underneath the ground, people who were trying to ambush me or try to take things from me wouldn't even necessarily know that he was there until they tried their tactics, and then Doug Trio interrupted them and then killed them. So that's kind of my first thought. Past that, something else like a Gardevoir would be nice to follow you around. Gardevoir is so powerful that it can create black holes to protect its trainer. So whatever the problem is, it's solved by a black hole. If Gardevoir can create a black hole and control it, I'm being threatened with someone shooting at me. Bullets go in the black hole. I'm being threatened with poison. Poison goes in the black hole. I'm being threatened with a lawsuit. Put the person who's giving me the lawsuit in the black hole. Like, no matter what's going on, it can be handled by a black hole. So probably a Gardevoir. Those are fun questions. Thank you. Moving on. I'm Rhizoid says, what are my thoughts on Pokemon Showdown / Pokemon Online? This is an interesting question. I really like Pokemon Showdown and Pokemon Online. I don't use them as much as I used to, just because I'm a lot better at breeding now, and also I don't really, at least as much, I don't really play with whole teams as much where I need to test on a team a lot on Showdown or Online before I take the time to breed it. I think that they're great tools for not only testing teams, but also there's just a whole different community there. As far as, like, there's a lot of people who play Pokemon Showdown or Pokemon Online who don't play the games, or who play the games but not in the same way, or they don't gender, they don't breed, or whatever. So it's really cool that there's an outlet for those people to play, and, you still have the same amount of trolls there that you do anywhere else. But for the people who aren't buttholes, it's nice that those people have a chance to do what they want to do there. I guess I could play it more. I don't really play Pokemon Online or Showdown very often. I do enjoy watching Showdown matches. Sometimes I'll just go in and spectate random matches. It's not a pastime or anything like regular battling is for me, but I will go in and watch sometimes. And of course I watch Showdown matches when people post them on YouTube. But I'm happy that they exist. I could probably utilize them more myself, but I don't. Geico Soilder, I cannot speak, ask, how many more years do I think Pokemon has, and how many more gens would I continue to play? I think Pokemon will continue indefinitely for the most part. The thing that most people forget is that Pokemon is marketed and created first and foremost for kids, primarily in the middle school, maybe late elementary school years. That being said, that is a continually renewing resource of a market. As far as, just a business proposition, who's going to be purchasing the games? The parents of those kids. Um, and then those kids grow up and they have more kids. And for the most part, it's going to be renewing every 3 to 4 years. There's going to be a new set of kids who would be interested in maybe starting to play Pokemon games. That being said, you could probably have something continue only so many times, but then again, we look at stuff like Mario and Zelda and Call of Duty and even Guitar Hero to a certain point. Like those companies just beat the crap out of them for several years and still had moderate success or have moderate success with those franchises. And that's not to say that Pokemon is in the same boat, of course. I think they do a very good job generally of not only listening to what players like us want who are a little bit older and have played Pokemon since it has been out, um, and also listening to what the general player or the more casual player base wants in different game mechanics. So I think it can, for the most part, go on as long as they want it to, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to play X and Y. I'm most likely going to play whatever comes out after that. Like I don't. At this point, like I'm pretty much done developing the types of habits I'm going to have. If I haven't fallen out of Pokemon by now, I'm probably not going to fall out of Pokemon. People don't change very often after they get past their developmental years, unless they have those catastrophic life-changing events. How many more gens would I continue to play? As many as they came out with. It would take something pretty egregious on their part for me to stop playing, like for them to go, okay, you can only play Pokemon if you have this $500 piece of hardware, and then you have to pay $20 per figurine, and that's the only way to get each Pokemon that you want to play. Okay, then I probably wouldn't play then. But then you see things like Pokemon Scramble come out, and they're like, hey, it's $2 per figurine, and yeah, it's random, but it's still cheaper than Skylanders, so have fun. Hardy nature sucks, darn it. So I see myself playing kind of indefinitely. Shiny Hunter Bob asks, while I was breeding, have I found any shiny Pokemon? And the answer to that is yes. An emphatic yes. The first shiny Pokemon that I ever got was back in first gold version, and I got a shiny Elekid. It was actually the egg that I was given. Who gave me that egg? I want to say one of my friends. They took my cart and they. No, wait, no. No. I think I was just breeding trying to fill up the Pokedex, actually. Now that I think about it. And it was funny because I didn't realize that the Pokemon was shiny. I thought there was a weird glitch on my screen, and I was like, why does the screen keep flashing every time I send an Elekid? I don't understand. And so I would save my game, reset it, turn it off, turn it back on, try again. Okay, maybe if I go talk to Professor Elm, he'll tell me about why my screen is flashing. Nothing. Maybe if I go talk to youngster Joey. Dang it, Joey, I don't want to hear about your Rattata. My screen is flashing for no reason. My friends at school. Wait, you have a shiny Elekid? Let me see. And back then, of course, Elekid barely looked any different than a regular Elekid when it was shiny. Like it was just a little bit darker. So it was kind of interesting. I've also had in 4th Gen, I bred a shiny Roselia and a shiny Coughing. And all those, I wasn't even trying for any of those. All those were, I'm just breeding so many of this Pokemon, trying to get exactly what I want as far as IVs and nature go. And of course, back then you had a lot less control over the IVs and the nature than you do now. So you ended up breeding a lot more. But yeah, those were fun to get while breeding. It's really, really cool to have that moment where you're going, okay, we're running back and forth, okay, I glance down real quick, and oh, it's shiny. That's nice. You just have that kind of a whoa, it's shiny moment. Interesting story while we're talking about shinies. I actually found a shiny Zubat while I was playing Pokemon Heart Gold in college. I was playing during my theology class, which of course is a type of philosophy. It was a philosophy type class, and when I found the shiny Zubat, I kind of went out loud, and my teacher went, Steven, is there something you're doing that you would like to share with the rest of the class? And I went, no, not particularly. I'm just playing Pokemon. He's like, well, how does Pokemon relate to our study? I don't see why you're playing that when we're sitting here talking about theology. And so I proceeded to launch into a discussion about Arceus and his role as the creator Pokemon in the Pokemon universe, having created the world with 1,000 arms, and how he can change his type based on plates and all the imagery and the whole fact that everything came forth from an egg and all this stuff. I spent about 20 minutes talking about it and getting the other classmates involved and talking about what the symbolism in Pokemon meant as far as theism went. Not only did I end up getting an A in the course, just generally, like after that, he just was. I didn't have to take the final, and I totally got out of that having to deal with that at the being a disruption to the class. So if you're gonna play video games during class, do it in a way where you can get an A out of it, I guess. Anyways, though, good question. Next question by the Beefy Pork. What are your opinions on Contrary Superior? Should it be released? Will it be overpowered? What will be the best set for it? I really hope that it is released. I think that it should be released because, if I'm not mistaken, Superior is definitely in U. I don't think he's PU. He might be PU. I guess I can go check that really quick. But he could. I don't know. That would just be another tool that he would have in his belt. Oh, he is PU. Wow. Alrighty then. Yes, Superior is definitely PU, and that would at least bump him up out of PU. So, that would be good for Superior at least. I don't think that it'll be particularly overpowered just because of the lack in coverage that it has. I don't know. I guess let's just run over to Bulbapedia really quick. I know it can run. I guess it would have Leaf Storm and then probably a Hidden Power Fire. What else would it have? Like, it doesn't get anything particularly. It gets Ring Out. Grass Normal isn't particularly good coverage. It can have really powerful Giga Drains. It gets Twister. There you go. Dragon coverage. I'm not seeing anything here that's particularly amazing. Okay, it does get Dragon Pulse. That's decent coverage. It's still walled by Steel types though, so I guess a Leaf Storm set with Hidden Power Fire and Dragon Pulse would have really good neutral coverage. I don't know. If I were running it, I would probably just run Choice Scarf and try to Leaf Storm my entire way through someone's team. I can see people running Sub Leaf Storm, especially because Superior is actually pretty decently bulky, especially on the defensive side. Physically defensive side, rather. You can see his stats right here. But, yeah. I think that it should be released, and I don't really know what the most effective set would be. Probably max special attack, max speed is what you'll probably see from most things, but it would be interesting. I think it would definitely at least bump Superior up out of PU, which Superior is very cool, so it would be nice to see him out of that tier. Trainer Connor 100 asks, my question is, will you continue Wi-Fi battling in the future? And the answer to that is definitely yes. I am looking for a full-time job, but at the same time, even if I get a full-time job, I don't see myself stopping Pokemon or my involvement in the community. I really, really enjoy the interactions that I have with all you guys, whether it be here, on my YouTube channel, or my Facebook group, or on Twitter, or, new other communities like the GTS or Snow Point Temple or anything like that. I enjoy those interactions with you all because you guys are generally cool people. There's going to be the odd troll, but I don't give them the time of day anyway. It's you guys that are actually interesting and have cool things to say and interesting ideas and new and new ways of thinking about things that not only apply to Pokemon, but they branch out to everything else. So Wi-Fi battling is kind of my entry point into those different communities. So I would definitely not want to give that up for the sake of something else. Like, I don't even know what I would do. I guess I could go and pick up some other skills. For example, I've always wanted to learn how to program. But I've developed a lot of skills just developing content for my channel. I did not think that I would ever have video editing software or know how to edit videos, for example, about 10 years ago. So I will definitely continue Wi-Fi battling in the future, and I hope that each one of you guys who battles comes and challenges me at some point. If you battle me at all, then you're my rival. Period. And I will always do my best to beat you and have a really good match with you. HuzzyNet asks, do I like penguins? And that is an interesting question. That okay? I admit I didn't see that question until like just now. Like it was on the screen this entire time, and I was just thinking about Trainer Connor's question, so I didn't read down a level. Do I like penguins? Yes, but only because they're such snappy dressers, I suppose. Their mannerisms, at least, the little bit of research that I did on penguins, penguins are very proud creatures, which leaves them, I don't know, they seem to act a little bit rude to me, especially to each other, especially when it comes to eggs and food, which I guess is animalistic instinct at a certain point, but they're kind of buttholes to each other and other animals. And that's kind of birds in general from what I see. Birds are not nice creatures. But anyways, though, dang it, I keep getting crappy natures on this. I do like them just because they're nice dressers for one. Number two, they their offspring, their young, the little penguin. They might be called pups. I think I'm not sure, but depending on the species of penguin, they're little itty bitty fluff balls. Like I don't know, maybe I could just look up penguin babies really quick. You can. I don't know what they're called. I feel like they're called pups. But yeah, there you go. They're kind of cute. So when the mother or father isn't regurgitating fish into their mouth, they're very cute. Um, but yeah, penguin babies. Those that's a reason to like penguins. And last but not least, Michael Hobbs asks, "Is there one Pokemon that I refuse to use either in game competitively, or I'm sorry, either in game or competitively, and if so, why?" He doesn't like Blaziken. I don't really like Blaziken. I like the anime version of Blaziken, where he can literally, jump tall buildings and somehow have trouble beating up a superior. I didn't understand that episode, but anyway, so number one Pokemon that I dislike, and this is mainly competitively because I started competitive battling in second gen, and that's where this Pokemon was introduced, is Blissey. I know a lot of you guys dislike Blissey as well. If I could lodge a formal complaint against Blissey, it would go something like, "Ma'am, while I appreciate your happy demeanor and your ability to bounce back from literally any situation, you annoy me. Whether it be because you heal off damage as if it never occurred in the first place when in fact it did occur, or whether it be because your Serene Grace ability causes ungodly amounts of hacks to my team, I dislike you." So I would just like to let Blissey know that, I suppose. It's weird because I think that it's not cute, but I'm okay with the design. It's not even a design thing. I just hate facing the darn thing. And back in second gen, for those of you guys who played back then, or maybe you've watched Xenon or Mega Keldeo second gen videos, where they have second gen competitive battles, it was just so stally back then, and then things like Blissey really don't help. Like, they're just really annoying. And in fact, I don't really know how I got into Wi-Fi battling, having to deal with that from the outset. But, I always ran Venusaur, and then you leech seeded, and then you get free healing for the rest of your team, so that's a nice perk. I will probably never breed a Blissey, though. I've bred a Chansey. I don't see myself breeding a Blissey at any point, unless it's like, alright, Steven, tournament team, we got the dirt on his team, and he's going to be using a team that's completely countered by Blissey. You should breed one. Okay, I'm probably going to breed one then. But that is a super niche circumstance. So yeah. Alright, so that is all the questions I have, I believe. Thank you all so much for submitting your questions. If you all have any more questions, feel free to put them in the comments for this video. And I'll probably just answer them for, using the good old trusty keyboard there. And take one last look at my channel background that my girlfriend created for me, just because the new YouTube layout is probably going to squash it back in a little bit. If you guys aren't following me on Twitter, it's at PokédexSwain on Twitter. And then, of course, I have a Facebook group, Necrostevo's Pokemon Battles. Come and check that out as well. And, of course, it's Necrostevo on Skype and on PSN. If you guys want to come and contact me through any of those, feel free to do so. I hope you all have enjoyed this video and enjoyed learning a little bit more about me. And look forward to some more uploads coming up real soon. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye now.